Greetings, Lucky Legends. Welcome to the dojo. My name is Lucky, this is Lucky Lad TV. I'm your host of this video, and it's time for our Week 1 PMC Team Builder against J-Specs, my man, and the Hamden Hydreigons. Now, we have a very, very, very offensive team with two Pokemon that aren't offensive. And the reason that I have those two Pokemon is just so that we don't get swept. I just need them to not even switch in, but to take some attacks. Because my opponent has a couple Pokemon that pretty much just wall us to hell and back. Or sorry, they don't wall us, they just destroy us completely, and there's not really anything that I can do about it, because the only Pokemon that I have that can even remotely take them on don't deal enough damage to them to be like an actual counter. Prime example, my opponent has Thunderous Therian. Thunderous Therian destroys my team. The main Pokemon that you would expect to take on Thunderous Therian would be Jolteon, because it's immune to electricity and it resists flying. However, Thunderous Therian is also immune to electricity. They both have Volt Absorb. So there's no point in trying to counter it with Jolteon, because we lose that 1v1. Thunderous Therian hits a lot harder than Jolteon does, and if we don't want to get like 2-hit KO'd by Focus Blast or Sludge Wave, something like that, we have to run Crazy Bulk, which means that we're not able to 2-hit KO Thunderous Therian back. So, it wasn't really an option. That was one of the biggest threats to our team here. Miltank is also a threat, which sounds kind of weird, but Miltank has serious sweeping potential because it is fast, it is a cleric, it has reliable recovery from Milk Drink, it is immune to grass, which is just, another piece of bullshit, which is one of the reasons why I do not have our good friend Gourgeist here. Fear is not with us. But we brought a pretty interesting team. The team is built around, interestingly enough, Darmanitan. The team is built around Darmanitan. The goal is for Darmanitan to be able to revenge kill pretty much anything on my opponent's team. Between U-Turn, Flare Blitz, and Superpower, we have the coverage to take on just about anything that my opponent has and 2-hit KO it, or potentially 1-hit KO it. There are certain things that outspeed us. There are certain things that can take some hits really well. For example, we don't really have anything for Cofagrigus because of how physically bulky it is. That said, we still beat it 1v1 with 2 Flare Blitzes because of how much damage Flare Blitz does. But the reason that we have something like Encore is for a situation like that, where we can Encore my opponent into something that it doesn't want to be using, and then we can get a free switch. But we have Jurel. Jurel takes out Tangrowth. Return is a guaranteed 1-hit KO against Tangrowth. Earthquake is coverage for things like Entei and Lucario, stuff that resists Return, which is, of course, Refrigerate boosted. So it's actually, an Ice-type move. Ice Shard is for picking off lower health Pokemon that my opponent has. Ice Shard does a good amount to Mega Altaria. It does a good amount to Thunderous Therian. It does a good amount to Claydol. It does a good amount to a lot of Pokemon on my opponent's team. I originally was running a special Jurel with HP Fire to take on Scizor, but Choice Band and Bullet Punch does way too much damage and was just way too much of an issue. The reason I was running it that way is because I wanted the option to have Freeze Dry to hit Slowking, but Slowking is so specially defensive. So specially defensive that it wasn't helping. It just wasn't helping. And in addition to that, with that type of coverage, Entei walled us. Like an Assault Vest Entei would completely and utterly wall us. Unless I was running Mixed, which doesn't really work, because then I can't really 2-hit KO anything. So the reason we have Substitute on here is because we can force a switch pretty easily. Especially with my opponent having that Regenerator core. That Tangrowth Slowking Regenerator core can actually work for our favor because it will make my opponent very likely to want to switch out to get that Regenerator health back, and we can use that to our advantage to get up a Substitute. We have Borealis here. Borealis walls Suicune, it walls Scizor, it walls Lucario, it walls Mamoswine. It walls pretty much every physical offensive threat that my opponent has. It does not wall Mega Altaria. However, if we do burn it, then we do wall it. That's the thing. If we can burn it with Scald, then we do wall it. Unless it has Facade. But if it has Facade, I don't think it beats us 1v... Let me rephrase that. If it has Facade, it beats us 1v1. If it doesn't have Facade and we burn it, I do not think it beats us 1v1. Especially since we can roar it out. The Roar Encore combo is something that I'm planning on using. Because, you see, it's 3 turns. So I Encore it. That's turn 1. I switch out. That's turn 2. I Roar. That's turn 3. And I roar it out. I'm really planning on using that for something like Mega Altaria that's trying to set up to sweep us. Or maybe Miltank that's trying to set up to sweep us with, like, Curse. Lucario, again, has a Swords Dance, Nasty Plot, and Agility. It's triple dancing. That's another Pokemon that I would want to do something like that against. Thunderous Therian is a double dancing Pokemon. It has access to Nasty Plot, and it has access to Agility. So that's really the plan with those 2 Pokemon. It's a bit of a weird plan, but it could definitely help us. To cover our special weakness, though, we actually have an Assault Vest Jirachi. Ice Punch, Iron Head, Fire Punch, and Drain Punch. Drain Punch is really for, like, Lucario, so that we can get some HP back against it. Fire Punch is for Scizor. It just destroys Scizor. Iron Head is for the Mega Altaria. Ice Punch is for the Thunderous Therian. Obviously, these moves hit other Pokemon pretty hard as well. Just because of that base 100s across the board, Jirachi's a threat. It's impossible to discount it as a threat. I wanted to run this thing special, but it didn't have the damage output that I needed, and I didn't have the recovery that I wanted. That was important. I wanted Drain Punch so that I could have some form of recovery, because I'm not running Leftovers, I'm not running Scarf or anything like that. We don't outspeed a lot of my opponent's team because we are uninvested in speed. However, the point of this thing is to tank special hits and fire back. Mainly against the Thunderous Therian, which I'm really expecting him to bring. Obviously, my opponent brings 6 Pokemon. There are 5 that I'm very, very, very much expecting him to bring, and that is Mega Altaria, Tangrowth, Slowking, Entei, and Thunderous Therian. The last Pokemon's a bit, up in the air, but I'm really, really, really expecting those 5. Coming up next, we have Kaiten. Kaiten is our Expert Belt Hitmontop. Now, I believe I have Close Combat on there, not Low Kick. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. I have Fake Out, I have Rapid Spin, I have Earthquake, and I have Low Kick or Close Combat. I'm pretty sure it's Close Combat. The reason being is that Low Kick doesn't do that much to Miltank. Low Kick does a huge amount to Mamoswine because Mamoswine is very, very, very heavy. But I don't think it did that much to Miltank, which is why I'm pretty sure I swapped them. But I also have Rapid Spin because Rocks are very annoying for this team. We have 3 Pokemon with the Rocks. We have nothing with like Leftovers or Black Sludge, anything like that. Speaking of Black Sludge, we have Bloodwing. Bloodwing is our choice Banded. Crobat, U-Turn, Brave Bird, Cross Poison, and Tailwind. The reason that we have Tailwind is because it could very much help in a potential late game sweep with something like Jor-El or Talisman, maybe even Sun Wukong if we've weakened a lot of my opponent's Pokemon. Kaiten could potentially put in some work. but that is why we have Tailwind on there. Cross Poison is 2-hit KO on defensive Mega Altaria. Brave Bird, I believe, is a 1-hit KO on Tangrowth. If not, it's a guarantee. I know it's a guaranteed 2-hit KO. It might even be a 1-hit KO. We have U-Turn. We're going to need a lot of switch initiative to break through this really, really, really fat core of Pokemon that my opponent has. And that is, in essentiality, our team. The last Pokemon, I don't think I went over Suicune. We have Suicune here. No, I did. I did go over Suicune. So we've gone over everything on this team. I'm very nervous about this match. My opponent has a lot of Pokemon that I'm not used to seeing. A lot of Pokemon that are really, really, really big threats. But hopefully we can pull out the W. I want to thank you all so very much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. It's very much greatly appreciated. But with that, I'm going to get best out there. I will see you all soon. Goodbye.